Good morning, cadets. Today I'll be taking up the poem Fire and Ice by Robert Frost. Fire and Ice is a short poem by Robert Frost. In this poem, the poet refers to two predictions of how the world will end. The poem outlines the familiar question about the fate of the world, wondering if it is likely to be destroyed by fire or ice. People are on both sides. Some say it will end in fire, while others say it will end in ice. According to the poet, fire stands for desire, greed, or lust. The more you try to satisfy them, the more they grow. There is no end to it. They spread rapidly like fire and engulf your whole life. One becomes selfish and sometimes cruel. On the other hand, ice, according to the poet, stands for hatred, coldness, and rigidity. One becomes insensitive and indifferent towards the feeling of others. The poet says both fire and ice are growing with such a rapid speed that the world would soon perish either in fire or in ice. The poet wants to convey the message: if mankind is not able to control its desire and feeling of hatred, then the earth would definitely come to an end. Robert Frost warns the humanity against the end of this world. He says that man by nature has become selfish, greedy, and indifferent. He says that if man is not able to control his desires and hatred, then this would ultimately lead to the destruction of the world. In this poem, Robert Frost refers to the two predictions that have been made on how the world will end. He says that he has tasted desire and he knows that man's desire for supremacy can lead to the destruction of this earth. He also adds that world can also end by ice or extreme coldness. He then equates ice with hate, hate in the hearts of the people towards their fellow human beings will also result in the end of this world. So, according to the poet, the world is full of desire and hatred, and this will ultimately cause the destruction of earth. Talking about the first stanza, the poet says there are two ideas in the society about the destruction of the world. First theory says that fire will cause the disaster to happen. He equates fire with human passion and desire. The poet frankly confesses that he agrees with those who believe that the world will be burnt by fire. In the second stanza, the poet stops discussing the first theory and goes on to talk about the second theory about the destruction of earth by ice. He does not disagree with the first theory. He simply considers that what might happen if earth were to be destroyed a second time. He is sure that the second time ice will be enough to destroy the earth as nearly and effective as fire. He compares ice with hatred. Fire stands for desire, anger, lust, cruelty, and greed. Ice is symbolic of hatred, coldness, rigidity, insensitivity, and intolerance. The general opinion regarding the world is that the world will end in fire, and some say ice. Both the reasons contrast each other and one equally opposite to each other. People who favor fire believe it will be the heat and the passion which will end the world. On the other hand, some people think that it will be ice which will freeze the world. Talking about the deeper meaning, the poet has compared fire to the dark side of humanity, that is hatred and lust. According to the poet, lust is a big evil. Desire or lust is the cause of all problems. Hatred is very harmful. So the poem Fire and Ice represents two evils, hatredness and lust, which will lead to the destruction of the world. According to the poet, fire stands for desire and greed. The more you try to satisfy them, the more desire and greed grows. There is no end to it. They spread rapidly like fire and ruin the whole world. On the other hand, ice, according to the poet, stands for hatred and coldness. One can become insensitive and indifferent towards the feeling of others. One becomes selfish and cruel sometimes. The poet says both fire and ice are growing with such rapid speed that the world would perish or end either way, in ice or in fire. The underlining idea of the poem Fire and Ice is destruction of the world due to human greed and hatred. The poet is saying that human desire is like fire which will spread and destroy the whole world. He also says that the feeling of hatred is growing amongst the people. He compares it with ice. He says, once hatred is built in one's heart becomes cold, then we indulge in evil deeds, taking the lives of innocent people. So, according to the poet, the feelings of desire and hate can lead to the end of the world. The poem Fire and Ice is essentially an epigram. The poet has used two symbols, fire and ice, and he has created a irony. It appears that he believes beyond doubt that the world will end either in one way, that is fire, or the other, that is the ice. So, the poet wants to convey the message that if mankind is not able to control its desire and feeling of hatred, then the earth would definitely come to an end. He cautions or warns the humanity against the end of the world, because man has become selfish, greedy, and indifferent. It's a beautiful and thought provoking poem which makes us think deeply about our existence on Mother Earth.
Hello everyone. Today I, Cadet Nikhil Patil, is here to explain the poem Fire and Ice. It is one of the finest poems written by Robert Frost in 1920. Before going deep into the chapter, let's have a quick introduction of the poet. Robert Frost was born in San Francisco in 1874. Frost moved with his family to England to farm and write poetry from 1912 to 1915. His first book, A Boy's Will, was published in London in 1913. Frost then returned to New Hampshire to farm, write poetry, and teach. From that point, his reputation grew rapidly. On 29 January 1963, this highly dexterous poet went to sleep forever. Now, let's move on the summary of the poem. The poem expresses the profound idea that the world would end in either of two ways, either by ice or fire. One group is of the opinion that someday the Earth's core will get so heated up that it would lead to fire destroying the Earth's surface. On the other hand, the second group says that if the temperature goes down to an extent that makes life impossible on Earth, it would have the same catastrophic effect. Now, the thing to remember is that Robert Frost is a poet and not a scientist. Then why is he finding ideas about how the Earth will get destroyed? The poet is actually comparing fire and ice with destructive features of human emotions, desire and hatred. He says that from what he is aware about fiery desires, he would favor the ones who say that it would be fire. By saying so, he brings about the idea that human beings let their emotions rule on them and the consequence of unmonitored longing is chaos. Similarly, he thinks ice is just as competent in bringing the world to a catastrophic end. Now, poetic devices. Assonance. Assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in the same line, such as the long sound of O in I hold with those who favor fire. Alliteration. Alliteration is the repetition of consonant sounds in the same line, such as the sound of F in I hold with those who favor fire. Imagery. Imagery is used to make readers perceive things involving their five senses. For example, some say the world will end in fire, and to say that for destruction ice is also great. Symbolism. Symbolism is the use of symbols to signify ideas and qualities, by giving them symbolic meanings different from their literal meanings. Fire is the symbol of desires and ice symbolizes hatred. Similarly, green and gold are the symbols of beauty and happiness. Anaphora. It refers to the repetition of a word or expression in the first part of some verses. For example, some say in the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. Personification. Personification is to give human qualities to inanimate objects. In this poem, fire and ice are capable of destruction. Therefore, the poet personifies fire and ice by giving them a mind which is capable of destroying almost anything. Enjambment. It is defined as a thought or clause that does not come to an end at a line break. Rather, it moves over the next line. For example, from what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. Now let's see the theme of the poem. Hatred and power of emotions are the major themes of the poem. The poet discusses the destructive features of human emotions. He uses the symbol of fire and ice to show how desires and hatred contribute to making the world stand at the verge of chaos. Also, these powerful emotions will eventually drag the world toward a catastrophic end. Now, the last topic, critical analysis. Fire and Ice is one of Robert Frost's shortest poems but gives the reader much to ponder on. Casual in tone with cliches, it introduced to the reader the profound idea that the world could end in one of two ways, the fire or ice, through desire or hate. If you listen to the video read by Frost, it is possible to detect a hint of understatement in his voice. Perhaps a subject of such seriousness needs to be treated with a certain insouciance. It has that traditional iambic beat running through the mostly tetrameter lines, save for 3 diameters, which Frost employed a lot, and it's this rhythm that could be said to undermine the essential seriousness of the subject, the end of the world. Thank you, have a nice day.
Fire and Ice by Robert Frost. Some say the world will end in fire. Some say in ice. From what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if I had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice.
Health, happiness, and success depend upon the fighting spirit of each person. But the biggest thing is not what happened to us in life, but what we do about what happened to us. A very good morning to you all, respected Asha ma'am and all my dear friends. Today is I Create Amar going to speak on the topic one of the most mysterious place on the earth, that is Egypt is famous for its pyramid, and these pyramids what make this place a mysterious one. If you take a look at the history of Egypt, around 4000 years ago, the richest and powerful civilization started here. In that era, these pyramids and many other structures were built to preserve the body of king and queen after they died in the form of mummy. But in these huge pyramids, till now, no king or queen mummies are found. Scientists discovered 3 chambers, but they were unsuccessful to explore this pyramid fully. Coming to its location, these pyramids are exactly at the center of modern world map and aligned with the Bermuda Triangle and Dragon's Triangle. The scientists could not understand that how exactly they predicted the mid place of world map. People in that era believed that Earth is flat, not sphere, and Sun and Moon goes around the Earth. This is also one of the mysteries scientists could not solve. These 3 huge pyramids are made up of around 60 lakh stones, and the Pyramid of Giza, which is tallest among these, is made up of 23 lakh stones, and each stone weighs about 2700 kg to 70,000 kg. The modern machinery technology has a capacity of lifting maximum 20,000 kg. The question is that how they moved such huge stone in that era. This is also still a mystery. Another interesting thing about this pyramid is that natural air conditioner throughout the year. Yes, throughout the year, the inside temperature of these pyramids stay constant, that is 20 degrees Celsius, in summer also. Scientists found some beautiful carvings of that era, which were shocking. As you can clearly see, a modern A-ship, an alien-like creature carved here by those people in that era. At last, it is believed that aliens have made such impossible structure like pyramid, but without any other proof, it is still a mystery that who have built it. At last, I would like to conclude by quoting Albert Einstein. Weak people revenge, strong people forgive, intelligent people ignore. Thank you.
Good morning to one and all, respected Ashamam and all my dear friends. Today at Sai Cadet Kashnath going to speak on the topic power of positive thinking. Positive thinking is the practice of focusing on good things in any situation of our life. It does not mean that we need to ignore reality. So let us understand it in a better way through a story. Once upon a time, two criminals were ordered by judge to be hanged. And group of scientists arrived there and requested to judge to make an experiment on them. Both of them took to lab and they were said that they will be bitten by a snake. And they closed one of the criminal's eyes and just they took two pins and pinched him. He was nervous and he was thinking negative that he will be going to die soon, and he died within half an hour. And another criminal thought that just they are going to pinch by pin, and he was calm and cool. And they closed the eyes of another criminal and they took snake and held in front of him. And snake bit into him and he died. He did not die. Checked both the bodies. They found venom in the dead body. The one who was just pinched by two pins, and because his negative thoughts and nervous made his hormones to release venom in his body. And another one who was cool and calm released antibodies of the venom. So this small story reminds us to be positive and think positive. Problems come in our life to make us strong. It trains us to face problems in our life. So let us think positive and be positive.
Raharyam na cha rajaharyam na bhratrubhajyam na cha bharakari vyavekrute vardat eva nityam Dhyadanam sarvadhan pradhanam. Education removes doubt and fear, make us happy and peaceful. Education turns a person into better human being. A teacher comes in and removes darkness which is in front of us. Then suddenly we realize that how beautiful world is around us. But alone gaining knowledge cannot make one educated. Education includes how to live, how to hope, how to pray, and how to behave with others. Good morning to you all, respected Asha ma'am and all my dear friends. Today, its Cadet Adarsh appear on the dais to speak upon the topic value of education. Education is basic human right. It provides freedom as well as empowerment to all the individuals. It is the best tool by which socially and economically backward people can pull them outside of their poverty line. Education stimulates our minds and mold a curious mind into intellectuals, and it tries to take a next level to intellect. Education provides a deeper understanding of the world which is around us. Education is the best essence of our action. The value of education is in spreading the knowledge in the society. Therefore, it creates our environment. And this is perhaps noteworthy aspect of the education. Education brings a development in technology, medicine, lifestyle, etc. The more a proper education we get, the more technology will be spread in the world. Apart from this, the value of the education plays a crucial role in the carrying country's economy as well as social progress, also improving the individual's distribution of the income. Another way, I want to say that the value of the education is the most important ingredient to change the world. It helps to gain knowledge, and that knowledge can be used for better living. Lastly, I want to quote Socrates. He who knows not, who knows? He who knows not. Thank you one and all.
Good morning to all present over here, respected Asha ma'am and all my dear friends. Today, it's favorite topic from Vada House of class 10. I'm going to speak on the topic dreams. So what are dreams? Dreams are a beautiful imagination that one takes on to escape from the reckless reality. Sometimes people incline to dream and live a fictional life. This may be to ignore the struggles and the difficulties that they have to come across in life. There are other kinds of dreams that don't let the person to sleep until they achieve. Dreams give meaning to our life. prepares a person to set up goals and achieve them. These kinds of dreams are important to achieve fame and success. There is a saying that it's okay to be a dreamer. Just make sure that you are also a planner and a worker. It means we should not dream all the time. We must work hard and plan for our dreams to achieve them and lead a successful life. Absolutely. There are two kinds of people in the life. There are dreamers and there are those I call risk takers. Today I will tell you the difference between a dreamer and those who take risk. A risk taker. A dreamer only dreams and stop dreaming when the going gets tough. Do you know what the risk takers do? They tell the tough is going. Yes, they tell the tough to keep going. The question is, are you a risk taker or a dreamer? When others beautifully keep pushing forward, and others quit, keep going. This is the difference between a risk taker and a dreamer. A risk taker will not live his dream in middle. He have a courage and attitude of never giving up. He face the obstacles and go through them. Keep climbing the ladder of success. When no one else believes in you, you must believe in yourself. Everyone was born to dream. Not all will love to take risks. It is not enough to be a dreamer. It will not make us rich. It will not make us successful in life. It's absolutely not enough to be a dreamer because everyone was born with that thing called dream. Bill Gates, Nelson Mandela, Steve Jobs, to mention few, these are the risk takers. These are men who left everything they had for their dreams. If you don't sacrifice what you want will be the sacrifice. It means we must sacrifice for our dreams, otherwise our dream will be the sacrifice. A talent will not help us to achieve our goal, but it's best to be having a talent. It is a God gift, but we must work hard with the talent. Talent is cheaper than the table salt. What separates from the talented individual from the successful one is a lot of hard work. It's a beautiful quotation of hard work given by Stephen King. There are dreamers who wish they could write a book. They could be a doctor, they could be a richest man in the world. There are dreamers who wish they could be everything I am doing right now. There are dreamers who spend their whole life wishing that if I could become this or that, I will become happy. Live your dream. When you live your dream, you don't go looking for your happiness. Happiness will come looking for you. When you live your dream, you don't go looking for others' approval. Others will come looking for you. When you live your dream and die, your dream will live after you. A dreamer will always dream, and results don't come from our dreams. A planner and a worker take risks to make their dreams a reality. Let's check the oath that I am a risk taker. I know that only a real believer in life could not live my dream. I will not live my dream a dream away on this earth. We have to do something for our dreams. You have something inside you, something that is different. Bring it out and go after your dreams. We must not live our dream in the life of our beautiful imagination. At last, I quote a quotation of Martin Luther King Jr. If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Thank you, one and all. Have a nice day.